please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Wait a second, takes a second, just
Okay.
takes a second to, there we go.
We'll let Kevin get connected for taping. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are socially distancing, so I just remind folks they can take off their masks, and we've made accommodations for the public to attend using social distancing guidelines under the advice and consultation of Clinton County Health Department. I want to just give them an ongoing public thanks for all their good work as we continue to experience and work through the pandemic. I'm going to start the meeting at 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Michael Cashman.
Present.
Thomas Wood.
Here.
Meg LaFay.
Here.
Barbara Hebert.
Here.
Charles Costick. Here. James Cobb. Here. And Kevin Conley is in attendance.
Resolution 118, approved the minutes of the previous meeting.
Resolved that the minutes of July 2nd, 16th, 23rd, 2020 be approved and the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Costick, is there a second?
Second.
LaFave, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So does carry. Seeing nothing for public comment this evening, we will move forward into Resolution 119, Abstract 9B-20.
Resolved that the abstract of audited claims, number 9B-20 for $822,984.14. Abstract 9B-20 prepays for the amount of $162,563.72 be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisor is hereby authorized to pay said abstract.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
LaFave, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. So does carry. Resolution 120, monthly department reports.
Resolved to receive and place on file monthly department head reports.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Costick, is there a second?
Second.
LaFave, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So does carry. Resolution 121, advertised for the 2021 budget work session.
Whereas each year, as a part of the budget process, the town board meets to discuss budgets with town departments to determine current issues, future needs, and program goals that will require funding in the new budget. And whereas it is important that the community has opportunity to observe the budget process and learn about department needs and goals, therefore be it resolved that the town board will hold a budget work session on October 17th, 2020 to be scheduled between the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Town Hall Complex on 151 Banker Road, and be it further resolved that the town clerk publish this announcement in the official newspaper for the town of Plattsburgh, the Press Republican, have a copy posted on the clerk's bulletin board, and cause one to be posted in the town's website, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to all departments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Wood, any discussion? I will just offer, for those that may be viewing at home, this is a Saturday. That is not by mistake. So if anybody sees that date, we have been doing this session on a Saturday for a while now to maximize public participation if they want to attend. We'll be using social distancing, and I would remind the public in advance, due to the pandemic, those in attendance must adhere to masking protocol and social distancing requirements during the session, okay? So just a heads up. Can I get a roll call for this, please?
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Meg LaFave.
Yes.
Barb Hebert.
Yes.
Charles Costick.
Yes.
Michael Cash.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 122, adopt the 2020 retention schedule.
Resolved by the town board of town of Plattsburgh that retention and disposition schedule for the New York Local Government Records, LGS 1, issued pursuant to Article 57A of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law, and containing legal minimum retention periods for local government records, is hereby adopted for use by all officers in legally disposing of valueless records listed therein. Therefore, be it further resolved that in accordance with Article 57A, only those records will be disposed of that are described in Records Disposition Schedule for New York Local Government Records, LGS, after they have met their minimum retention periods prescribed or described, therein. Only those records will be disposed of that have sufficient administrative, fiscal, legal, or historical value to merit retention beyond established legal minimum periods. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the town clerk.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
LaFave, is there a second?
Seconded.
Hebert, any discussion?
What does B say?
I
They have
was looking at that
sufficient,
also, Tom.
you're supposed to be disposed of if they have sufficient
That
legal or historical
maybe
value?
should be insufficient.
I don't think that reads right. But, I mean, if we're getting rid of the records, it should be those that have insufficient administrative,
Yeah.
fiscal, legal, or historical value. We're not supposed to be getting rid of this ones that have historical value.
I would ask the clerk to
Yeah.
research the language.
What I'll do is I'll check from the actual release from New York State.
I'll ask for consideration to table this until next week. Any objection?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna accept Meg's and Barb's, first and second as a motion to table, just to be on the safe side.
Kevin, are there pretty clear guidelines? Do you know
Oh, yeah.
what you need to do with
The new LGS one supersedes any one schedule. It's brand new, it's 348 pages. And it supersedes everything as far as records retention.
And this language is provided as a template, so we still have several weeks to do it, we're just trying to administratively get it done.
We're way ahead of the game,
Yeah.
actually,
So,
so even though we're talking about it.
Is there an agent, like the agency helpful if you have questions?
Oh, yeah, there's the archives, what is it right here, it's the government records. Arts and cultural affairs law, I talked to Marina Cash and she'll tell me what to do with it. And if there's anything, I can always call her, she's very good at returning emails.
Good.
all right, with no objection, a motion to table, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so tabled until next week, but you know the section to look up, thanks, Kevin. Motion 123, amend the appointment of Roger Black as a member of the zoning board of appeals.
I've got Marion Alejandro,
That was in here?
and Joe Russell first, I've got two Marians.
Oh, here, right. Okay. Yeah, I don't have, I have to
I
write
got
it
right.
right.
That's it.
Okay.
That's, thank you. Whereas resolution number 19-219 passed on 12/19/2019, appointed Mr. Black as member of the town zoning board of appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2025, and whereas local law number 1 of 1999 has a term of 5 years, therefore be it resolved that, as per local law number 1 of 1999, the town board does hereby correct the appointment of Roger Black to the zoning board of appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2024, and be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be given to Mr. Black, Mr. Steve Eidenhoff, Department Head of Codes and Zoning, and the Chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Wood, is there a second?
Seconded.
Hebert, any discussion? I would just thank you folks for, as we said, we've been methodically going through where you folks have, just to do some cleanup of some of this material, so, it's been some time where we've, you know, not been right on the mark, over the last umpteen years, so thank you.
We'll probably be bringing a few others, later on for different reports.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So does carry. Thank you. Resolution 124, amend the appointment of Vassal LaForce as a member of the zoning board of appeals.
Whereas at the resolution of 14-83 passed on 2/24/2014, appointed Mr. LaForest to replace Mr. Michael Cashman, who resigned on 1/30/2014 after serving 1 year of his term as member of the zoning board of appeals for a term to expire 12/31/2018. And whereas the ending date for Mr. Cashman's term should have been 12/31/2017, And whereas a resolution was drawn up to amend the incorrect term end date, however, it was not passed at the time. And whereas resolution 19-15, passed on 1/3/2019, appointed Mr. LaForest as a member of the town zoning board of appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2023. Whereas local law number 1 of 1999 has a term of 5 years, and to correct the terms noted above, therefore be it resolved that as per local law number 1 of 1999, the town board does hereby correct the appointment of Basil LaForest to the zoning board of appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2022, and be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be given to Mr. LaForest, Mr. Steve Imhoff, the head of the Department of Codes and Zoning, and the chairperson of the zoning board of appeals.
Is there a motion?
So,
Lefebvre, Costick, any discussion? Mostly a ditto, right? All those in favor?
Just to let you know that they've all been contacted,
Okay.
and they understand.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes, thank you. Resolution 125, amend the appointment of Marion Alexandria and as a member of the zoning board of appeals.
Whereas resolution 18-246 passed on fall 2018, appointed Ms. Alexandro as a member of the town zoning board of appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2024. And whereas local law number 1 of 1999 has a term of 5 years, therefore be it resolved that as for local law number 1 of 1999, the town board does hereby correct the appointment of Marion Alexandro to the zoning board of appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2023, and be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be given to Ms. Alexandro, Mr. Stephen Imhoff, who is the department head of Code and Zoning, and the chairperson of the zoning board of appeals.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second?
Wood, any discussion?
Just
a
one, yeah, ditto, but convey my thanks to Mr. LaForest, Mr. Black, and Ms. Alexandro for their understanding of the importance of correcting their appointments.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So it is carried. Resolution 126, denial of junkyard license at 55 Hammond Lane.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh has received an application for the renewal of a junkyard license filed and submitted by Randy Parmenter regarding operation of a junkyard at 55 Hammond Lane in the town of Plattsburgh, state of New York. And whereas the town board of the town of Plattsburgh has received a letter dated May 18th, 2020 from Steve Imhoff, code enforcement officer for the town of Plattsburgh, with photographs of the property. And whereas members of the town board have personally inspected said property and have found that the junkyard does not comply with section 11 fencing of local law number 6 of 1984. Now therefore be it resolved that Mr. Parmenter's application for the renewal of his junkyard license is hereby denied and will not be renewed until he is in compliance with the applicable provisions of local law number 6 of 1984 entitled Regulations of Automobile Junkyards, and be it further resolved, and a copy of this resolution be given to the town clerk, code, and zoning office.
For purposes of discussion, is there a motion?
so,
Lefebvre, is there a second? Thompson. Open for discussion. Mr. Wood, I know that you had some thoughts about this.
Well, in general, I did rewrite some that had some things and sent it to everyone, but unfortunately, forgot to make a copy for myself, it was on my computer. But basically, I feel like, we had agreed before to give 30 days, notice, so that he could, we'd give one last chance to do it. And so I put the resolve that he be given until September 30th, 2020 to remove all remaining junk, as partly shown in the photograph. And that be it resolved that if the junk is not removed as of October 1st, 2020, Mr. Primer's application for renewal of junkyard is hereby denied and will not be renewed until he's in compliance with applicable provisions of local law 6 of 1984 entitled Regulations of Automobile Junkyards. And be it further resolved that the town lawyer draft a letter stating the ramifications and penalties of losing his license. And then the copies go to him as well as the others that we normally send to. So I did change quite a bit of it. put down that, you know, whereas, this was the whereas, he was given over 6 months to comply during last summer and fall, and failed to move all of the junkyard items behind his fence. Now, we know that he did some, actually did more than half, but there's still a substantial amount that should be removed. So, that's why I'm suggesting that we do it. I also changed on it, I didn't like the way it was written up in terms of town board members. So, whereas before that, whereas the codes enforcement officer and members of the town board have personally inspected said property. I think it's important to put that in, that the codes enforcement officer inspected it. He's the one that gave us a report that it didn't meet the specifications at the beginning, and that's why we went to look at it. So, those are,
The only thing is, his letter did not comment one way or the other, I believe.
what's that?
Steve's letter, I don't think commented one way or the other. He just said, there it is.
I know, because he told us last year that it didn't meet specifications, and we decided to give him the extra time, which was until November. And, so I think, having experienced this in the past with our codes enforcement officer, I feel like at some point, if we don't back him up, then he's not going to. He's not gonna say that. So that's why we need to take steps. I believe anyway, we need to take these steps to ask for enforcement. As far as whether Steve approved it or not, he didn't approve it. I think we got a paper saying that he didn't approve it. So if they go back and ask him, you know, what his stance is, he didn't approve the renewal of the license. Or didn't recommend its
I'm
approval.
assuming if it's not renewed, it's just that there's no, that person no longer has a license.
Well, what are the penalties for that? Because you could still just keep the junk there, it sounds like there's no penalty.
Well, he can't operate the junkyard. There may be some other, I'm not an expert in the zoning code, there may be some other violation. My understanding is if you want a junkyard to be licensed to do business, you have to have the fence. Now, I don't know if you just have junk on your property and you're not a junkyard, there may be some rules on that, I'm not familiar with that.
Yes, there is, and in this case, and I admit I haven't been able to research it recently, but in the past, I was told by a code enforcement officer that they would be required to remove every bit of junk that's on that property if you did not have a license, if it was not renewed. And I believe there were penalties, financial penalties for it.
There may also be, a loss of a junkyard license may have to begin the process from the beginning.
Yes.
To go through that activation process. Thomas, I'd like to just submit, for the public and the record, and maybe kind of expand upon your offerings. Mr. Parmenter did submit under a notarized letter last year that reads, regarding the properties on Hammond Lane, Plattsburgh, New York, I wish a request of a time extension to relocate unregistered vehicles and debris located on lot number 2020, and I apologize, it's a little smudge, -8-8.3. The excess will be removed by November 30th, 2019. I feel that the junkyard license for parcel 220.8.8.4 should be issued now, because I'm told that the parcel 220.8.8.3 has nothing to do with the junkyard license application, because that is a separate lot. Twice, the codes office leading up to November 30th, 2019, provided him a courtesy letter. The sentiment was this: Dear Randy, as you are aware, at the time of the issuance of your current junkyard license, you had requested an extension to relocate the unregistered vehicles and debris from the above referenced tax parcel, which is adjacent to the junkyard parcel. Town Supervisor Michael Cashman agreed to your request to have the adjacent parcel cleaned up by November 30th, 2019. This letter is a courtesy reminder that the inspection is set for December 2nd at 9 a.m. That was issued on October 3rd, and he again received a similar letter on October 30th, 2019. So the reason that I wanted to provide that is I personally, I certainly can support the sentiment of what you're saying is kind of give final notice. But at that point, I think it far exceeds any expectation of what should have been allowed. So just, this seems to be a pervasive issue that's, been ongoing, so.
Yeah, my concern is it's not right to those that are conducting their business, following the local law. That's where my concern is. If we continue to kick the can down the road with this particular individual, it's not right to those that are operating.
And I can, Chuck, I can see that, so at the risk of appearing the over leniency, principle, I guess I just think that it's important, there's been a gap of time since the May 8th, where this was, the letter that was sent to Steve from us, it said the junkyard was in the same condition, that's what the letter said. It was on May 18th, we got an email on June 11th to let us know about that letter. And so, I guess the consequences of the fact that, I think, Michael, you pointed out the consequences of he'd have to reactivate the process and so forth. I guess I'm just trying to say one last warning, this is the final notice, you have 30 days. So again, there's two sides that we could look at, but I guess I would support what Tom is going to.
And I also think that a letter stating what the consequences are. Sometimes I'm not sure that he understands these things, and other people have told him something different. So I would like to see us give it a chance, but also a strong letter saying, these are the penalties you have to pay each month. This is what you'd have to do. You'd have to remove everything from the property. But now, I don't have that law right in front of me, so I can't.
Tom, I personally, I support your resolution, the amendment. I think it's very balanced, given a number of things that have gone on over the last several months. But I think the way that you've designed it actually sets a good precedent moving forward too. That this is how we clearly outline, because the some of the laws, I mean, what did we say? This dates back to 1984, right? So, I'll use the old joke. I was 4 at the time this time. You know what I mean? So sometimes the verseness of the law, and that's not an excuse, but it is an opportunity for us to partner with folks that are in our community to allow them to understand the depth and breadth of the law and the impact. Also being mindful of people, as Chuck said, that are, addressing things consistently. But I think what you've laid forward, though, is in the future, anybody that violates such a thing should understand in a more direct fashion, and that letter could be a template of, violations, fines, or what have you.
The other point to this is, we need to back up our codes enforcement. And we have another component that's beyond our control, and that is the justice court. Because if we find something, it goes to the justice court, and they can just say, no. So I'd like to see us have some teeth, but I think that if we do it this way, and we present all this to the justice court, then we have a better leg to stand on when we talk about the different penalties.
Is this Steve's recommendation?
Is it Steve's? No.
The 30 days maybe?
The additional
There was
30 days.
discussion,
I thought so.
Steve's not here, but I think there was a discussion. Steve did not hold back on offering that opportunity. I mean, again.
What is the typical term of this license? And what is the,
Yearly.
Seems like we do it every year.
so, the license that he has currently would be January 1 to December 31 then?
I believe so.
Okay.
Traditionally,
I don't think so.
What?
You don't think so?
I don't know, we issued one last year.
Yes.
that's part of the issue,
That's part of
he's
it.
been,
I
he's
think
been
it's
in.
expired.
And,
because we
and
didn't-
other, in Chuck, there have been other junkyards in the town over the years, and I mean the years,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
that have been delinquent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's why I applaud Tom and Barb in particular for liaisoning with Steve's office, is coming up with a process that tightens up the communication elements, so that we can get things on in a much more consistent basis.
And again, it's building a better defense and, to your point, fair and balanced. I think that's what we understand that there might be a perception of leniency, but we were trying to apply fair and balanced. Appreciate your comment, Chuck.
Tom, do you want to give Kevin that to read for consideration?
Well, if that's okay with the persons that made the original, motion, and second.
So,
I-
I'll ask Kevin, I'm gonna ask for consideration that, Meg and Chuck, would both of you agree to, remove your motion and second on the original resolution, now that we've had a discussion on the first, and reintroduce a new resolution for 126th, for junkyard license at 55 Hammond Lane, as read by Kevin for consideration?
Sure,
Yeah.
no, those were just for the purpose of discussion.
Yeah, that was just for the purpose of discussion, so now we'll focus on this resolution. Because it's still on the same theme, rather than doing an amended resolution, let's just look at it as a whole body, so.
Okay, number 20-126, denial of junkyard license at 55 Hammond Lane.
And this is the new one, right?
This is the revised version.
Okay.
The draft revision.
Right.
Okay.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh has received an application for the renewal of a junkyard license filed and submitted by Randy Parmenter regarding operation of a junkyard at 55 Hammond Lane in the town of Plattsburgh, state of New York, and whereas the town board of the town of Plattsburgh has received a letter dated May 18th, 2020 from Steve Imhoff, Code Enforcement Officer for the town of Plattsburgh, and with photographs of the property. And whereas the Codes Enforcement Officer and members of the town board have personally inspected said property and agree that the junkyard does not comply with section 11 of the fencing of local law 6 of 1984. And whereas Mr. Parmenter was given over 6 months to comply during last summer and fall, and failed to move all the junkyard items behind his fence, now therefore be it resolved that Mr. Parmenter be given until September 30th, 2020 to remove all remaining junk as partly shown in the photographs, and be it further resolved that if the junk is not removed as of October 1st, 2020, Mr. Parmenter's application for the renewal of his junkyard license is hereby denied and will not be renewed until he is in compliance with the applicable provisions of local law 6 of 1984 entitled Regulations of Automobile Junkyards, and be it further resolved that the town lawyer draft a letter stating the ramifications and penalties of losing his license, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the town clerk, Mr. Stephen Imhoff, who is head of the Department of Codes and Zoning, the chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and Mr. Parmenter.
Is there a motion for the revised resolution?
I just have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to nitpick this order.
I'll open it for discussion. First, Hebert, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion.
In the second resolved, the license will be denied and will not be renewed until he is in compliance. That to me implies that it'll just be a simple renewal process instead of a whole new application process.
I would say denied. You know, it stops the cycle of,
Yes,
Yes,
it will
that's-
just be
You would
denied.
have
They
to
just be
reapply.
denied, that would be the point, yeah.
So we kind of need to take that out.
yeah.
Okay.
Not be renewed.
Kevin, can you strike that?
We're gonna start with denied, strike, and will not be renewed until he is in compliance.
Keeping denied and not the renewed part of it.
So the rest, okay. So we'll just strike the rest of the resolve.
Tom, is that okay with you?
Oh, I think
Yeah.
that's better.
Yeah,
You know,
that's clear.
It's hereby denied.
I
Period.
only left it the way it had been in the original resolution, because I didn't know who had put it in. Could
Any
you just
other-
read that one part, Kevin, that,
All we did is we struck the second half of the resolve. It resolved that if the junk is not removed as of October 1st, 2020, Mr. Parmer's application for the renewal of his junkyard license is hereby denied.
Okay.
was there
And,
any?
and if it is, we will certify by resolution, so just
Yes,
know what the,
okay.
what the balance is.
Yes, that's the
Okay.
balance, yes.
The one thing that I would ask for, a sense of consistency, and again, I know, Tom and Barb, you've been the members of the board that have gone out to witness it.
Mhm.
In addition to Steve, would you also close the loop on that to make sure that the same set of eyes have
Mhm.
seen the before and
Yeah.
after, so that there's no dispute of, well, Steve saw this and I saw this,
Yes.
and so, I mean, I think there needs to be that consistency factor.
Absolutely.
Chuck, did you have anything you wanna cut you off? Okay. All right,
When you certify the resolution, then you can give us copies, or we'll put copies in there, how do you wanna do it? Do you want us to deliver them, or do you wanna put them in the box
for who?
for the people that you mentioned, to close the loop?
What do you mean, Tom? I think Michael, correct me if I'm, that's my understanding, he wanted us to do the follow-up on-site, like we've been doing, just to look at the property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the
what he-
part.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
part,
that's the
yeah.
part. All right, I'm gonna ask for a roll call.
And if you have a phone number, I'll call them first.
I'll ask a roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Meg LeVey,
Yes.
Barbara Hebert,
Yes,
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Michael Cash.
Yes, resolution as revised was adopted. And thank you, Tom, for taking that on. Knowing of no reason to go into executive session tonight, is there a motion to adjourn at 6:32 PM?
so moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Costick, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. So carries. Drive home safely, everyone.
Did you say you were going to follow one?
Can't talk to him that he should introduce
Give him a
himself.
chance to
Show people. That letter has to show what the ramifications are and what the.
Well, no, the reason I asked is, his sister